Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm just a casual sim racer, and today I wanted to show off an amazing new mod, a mod that completes Nicecuppatea's 1923 Grand Prix mod collection, and that is the 1923 Rolland Pilain A22. I'm going to be driving that car around the Lost Heaven racetrack. The Lost Heaven racetrack is a fictional track. It's pulled from the Mafia games, if you've played those before. I never played the games, but people tell me they're pretty cool. You drive cars and stuff like that, though they got some violence and stuff, so if that's something you're against. Anyways, I digress. The Lost Heaven racetrack is set in like 1930s era, and so it's a pretty good fit for these cars. It's a little bit fast, and it's got a little more banking than maybe would be expected for a track of that era, but as you'll see, it's a pretty fun track to take these cars around. Both the cars and the track will be linked down in the video description below, so you can go check those out. You can see here we got off to kind of a slow start, braked early going to the corner, and then kind of, just kind of wove my way through some of the slower cars. As you'll see, I'm working my way through the field right now, but I actually set the AI very broad. So the AI is set, I believe, all the way from like 84 to 94. So we got quite a broad field here of AI. I'm going to stick to the outside going to this corner here. Definitely a fun car to drive. This car is very heavy. You can feel the weight of it compared to most of the other cars in the pack, which now there's like 5 or 6 of them in the pack, and it's quite an impressive pack. Maybe one of the greatest modding car packs that has ever been created for any mod. It's pretty special. I love pre-war cars, so for me, this is one that I always return to, and now that we have a complete pack, the only thing that's really missing is the 1923 French Grand Prix track, the Tours track. Or, I would also love a 1923 Le Mans track as well, which would fit it as well. Probably my favorite track to race at is Opel Rennbahn, which is the awesome 1920s little oval track from Germany that was released on Race Department, and I highlighted in a video several months ago. Amazing track. I love racing these there. Short ovals, you can do just a few laps, a lot of laps, whatever you want. But I've showed that before, so I decided to pull out another track that I thought fit these cars reasonably well and was fun to race at, and just highlight something that maybe some of you don't have in your libraries already. Link that so you guys can check that out, download it. As you can see, the Rolland also, it's heavy. It also doesn't have quite the high-end speed as some of these other cars. It's really one of the worst cars in the pack in terms of performance. But maybe the one thing, it seems like it's got a decent front-end bite. Sometimes I think I can turn a bit better, and I was noticing that at Opel Rennbahn when I was racing. It seems like you can run at top speed. Now it is a lower top speed, so that probably helps as well, but it does seem to maybe bite into the corners just slightly better. Maybe the weight, whatever it is, allows it just to sometimes dig in. That's really it. Otherwise, it's slower in acceleration, slower in top end speed, heavier when it goes to the corners. So not necessarily the car you want to pick if you want to be the fastest on the track. Ooh, right there kind of just drifted just a little bit, but was able to keep out of that other car. We're going to go on the outside like I've been doing through most of these corners, sticking to the outside line, trying to keep momentum. So with this heavy car, I got to keep the momentum up. So that's what my lines are trying to do, is try to keep the lines as best as possible to keep my speed flowing through the track. Oh, we got a car out. Oh, just tagged us a bit. I noticed just a very slight pull on my wheel after they getting tagged the rest of the race. And then, for good measure, we bumped the Voisin. They're such interesting looking cars. Alright, we passed the silver Voisin, and now we're moving on to the next car is ahead of us. We got 12. We're in 12th position, and we're on the second of 5 laps, about to complete the second lap here. We head into the final high bank corner. I think this corner is probably a bit overdone, but Monza was back in the day, and there were several other somewhat steeply banked tracks back in this era, Brooklyn, things like that. So the idea of a steeply banked track is not unusual. This track is supposedly, fictionally set in the United States, so, maybe took some inspiration from Roosevelt Speedway, which had a banked final turn. Not that steeply banked, but, perhaps that was the track creator's inspiration, or perhaps just Monza, that's a famous track. A lot of understeer there, as you see. I'm struggling, end up on the curbs. Bringing it back in. Didn't lose that much time, though. As you see, we're able to complete the pass and get up to 11th. And there goes the Sunbeam passing us again. Just that acceleration blows past us. Gonna hug the inside here. You start drifting, and when you go over that rise, the car lifts off the suspension, and you feel that because these cars are just incredible in the way they're detailed: suspension handling, physics, force feedback, all of it. And so you'll feel that as you come over the rise, the car's lifting with momentum, and you just lose a bit of traction. And the best thing about this car is its traction, and you start drifting. So you have to back off the throttle, and the Sunbeam's able to stay ahead. Through this corner, we're able to maintain some pretty good speed. One criticism of this track, and it's really the only criticism I have, this corner. The AI is too slow through that chicane. If you just want to... So I'm braking pretty early most of the time through it to just fit in, but if you wanted to send it through, you'd have a huge advantage, as long as there's no other car the way that you might run into. But that's just the one maybe foible with this track. Cars are pulling quite a ways ahead of it. Looks like the Sunbeam's about to run down the Fiat. Oh, gets a little loose on the banking. We're just able to carry that speed on the banking here. And the Fiat's going to pull away. I don't know if we'll be able to stay ahead of the Sunbeam or not here. Get in the draft of the Fiat. 94 miles an hour down the straight in front of these spectators. Sunbeam's ahead of us. Are we going to try to go around the outside here? Understeer. You can hear the tires screaming. And you look at the foliage of this track, definitely could use some help. This is on ACTK's website. It's been redone by Easy. So I don't know exactly who the original mod creator was, but this track has been updated and then put on Easy's. He's the one who's uploaded it. Definitely got a few things that could be worked on in the future on this track, such as the trees. They definitely look a little bit cartoonish with their coloring. But the track mesh seems solid, and overall the track seems to be maybe not the most immersive track, but if you don't mind that, it's a good track, fun track to race on. I enjoy it. So I'm sure some of you will as well. See right there, carried a lot of speed through the chicane, and we gained a ton. Too much though. We're on the banking. I almost lost it there. I'm not hitting the brakes, I'm not hitting the throttle, I'm just letting it do its thing and hoping it lands back on the paved surface of the track without having, ruined my race. Some speed here. The Voisin is very slow on the straight line, so we actually might be a little faster, roughly the same speed. We got a lot of momentum. We might be able to hold this position here. We come to the line for the start of the final lap. Yes, and we're able to hold the position. Braking rather late. I think we're going to end up going deep in the corner. Onto the curb. Putting the power down, trying to make sure not too harshly so the car can stabilize. Definitely a fun car. It's probably mid-pack in terms of I don't know, maybe upper top half. It's definitely, as you see, we run off the track again, but it's definitely one of my top half cars favorite in the pack. Just the lack of overall performance probably prevents it from being my favorite, but in some ways that's challenging, which is kind of fun to drive as well. You don't always want to drive the fastest car, you know? Sometimes you want to be the underdog. Alright, I'm going to send it to this chicane and just try to carry as much speed as I can. And bounce across the track onto the grass. But we've gained up the front. Let's see if we can get some more action here before the race ends. Give you some more entertainment for y'all. To the banking. I don't think we're going to get it done. Okay, momentum. Nope, it's not going to happen here. And it looks like we'll be finishing 8th. Back then, so, you know, in the 60s and the 70s, the top 6 got points. Back then it was only the top 3 that received points. So, quite a ways away from the points. So anyways, the standings are going to pull up here. See, we finished 8th. A Sunbeam was able to win the race, followed by 2 Fiats. Those were the 3 cars on the podium, the 3 cars scoring points beyond just points for finishing, which was also the case. Alrighty, thank you for watching this video. I hope it was enjoyable. I think you should go check out both this car and the Lost Heaven racetrack. But most of all, I hope you have a great rest of your week.